Hey guys, my name is Savannah and today we're back in River Rock Zoo remodeling the entire sandbox project that was basically my first Planet Zoo project when I started playing the game. So this zoo is multiple years old now, and recently, if you missed the last 2 episodes, we're going back and remodeling, renovating everything, which basically means honestly we're tearing everything out and starting from scratch. From when I first started this project until now, so many more pieces have come out, and my build skills have very much improved since I first started playing the game. So it's been a blast for me to go back and use some of those new pieces and show off some of my new building skills that I have. And I am very excited and proud of this beaver habitat, which is what we're adding today to River Rock Zoo's kind of front entrance plaza area. Originally, when you walked into the zoo, you were greeted by the timber wolves, which was not a bad way to start off the zoo, but I felt like it was just kind of too in your face. There wasn't enough room for you to kind of walk in, have a proper little plaza area. I want to add some shops and maybe definitely update the restaurant area and kind of move the animals off to the side. So what I've decided to do, this beaver habitat next to the timber wolf habitat, is kind of starting off the North America section of River Rock Zoo. Now, River Rock Zoo is meant to be set in a North America kind of taiga setting. So I'm really trying to keep a lot of the original feel and a lot of the original style with River Rock. So we're not changing any of that. It's still going to be a very modern zoo with lots of taiga and North America kind of feel, but kind of bringing it up to date just a little bit. So starting on this beaver habitat, as always, working off of a reference picture, it's going to have a main viewing gallery that gives you a peek into their underwater viewing space. And then if you go up, back, and around to the back of the habitat, you'll get a little bit of a glimpse of the beavers up on their land. Now, I was relatively shocked, and for players that are regular players of Planet Zoo, you might be shocked as well. If you saw that water went in first try, no issues, no fights, no anything. The water just worked for me, and I was blown away that I did not have to spend, minutes, hours fiddling with it, trying to get it to work. It was at the right level that I wanted it to be at, and it turned out beautifully. Now, originally laying out this habitat, I did make it a little bit too large. So later in the video, you'll see I kind of go back and squish everything down towards the very end, just because I have to remember that I'm building for beavers and not everything needs like acres and acres of space. We want to make sure that we, again, are kind of sort of keeping in mind some realism for this park. So I wanted it to look kind of like a smaller installation habitat so that it's not so huge. But using these climbing pieces here to make a little bit of a fence, and that front viewing gallery I'm actually really proud of, and the flooring that I have in front of there is something that I kind of want to continue in this general area, just to give a bit of variation from the paths to make it look like it opens up into a little bit more space rather than being these kind of straight interconnected web of pathing, which is what it would be if I was just using the in-game paths. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does. I know what I'm talking about, and you'll kind of see at the very end, I do extend it to kind of cover that entire area up to the planter that's on the right-hand side that separates it from the timber wolf habitat. I was really proud of those little planters that I put on either side of the viewing gallery with the little saplings growing out of them. I think that those look absolutely perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. And then using here for the first time, actually, I don't know why I'm so late to the party. These stalagmites and stalactites are wonderful edging rocks. They're wonderful rocks just in general, and I haven't actually used them yet. So that's what I used there to line that planter. And then getting straight to some foliage. I really started on the front of this habitat, kind of getting the more or less the thumbnail done, really, is kind of how I was separating this build out and then moving on to the back, just so I could get a vision on how it was going to look and make sure that I was going to be happy with kind of the first impression of this habitat that you get, because that front underwater viewing gallery is the first thing that you see when you walk into the zoo and you turn right. That's going to be the first thing you're greeted with, so I really wanted to get that squared away and dialed in. Now moving to the back of the habitat, I'm working on what was inspired by like a covered bridge. I basically Googled like covered bridge, and these kind of images are what came up. And it was exactly what I was thinking, like a covered railroad bridge kind of thing. And this is going to be kind of the back viewing gallery for these guys. So while I'm actually getting that done, it's been a little while since we've talked about our animal friends, and I definitely don't want to start excluding animal information from any of our speed builds, because that is honestly part of why I love Planet Zoo so much, is because I'm such an animal nerd myself, and you guys do seem to really enjoy hearing about the animals, and I love hearing your guys' facts down in the comments below. So that being said, let's talk about our North American beaver friends for just a minute. North American beavers have stocky bodies with a yellow, brown to almost black coat and a broad, flat, scaly tail. Their large orange incisors grow continuously throughout their lifetime, and that actually is something called hypsodontal teeth. Rabbits and many other animals with those kinds of teeth have hypsodontal teeth as well, where they're ever growing, which is one of the reasons why, like beavers and rabbits, they're grazers, they're going to be constantly chewing on things to make sure that they're properly wearing those teeth down. And if they don't have access to things like that, they can have some really bad dental issues where their teeth get overgrown, it misaligns their jaw, and it just causes some issues for them. Whether they evolved ever-growing teeth to deal with the fact that they chew all the time, or because they chew all the time, they evolved ever-growing teeth, I actually don't know, which came first, chicken or the egg kind of thing. But they combat each other, and that's basically how their lives work. They chew all the time, they wear their teeth down, so their teeth grow all the time so that they don't just wear them down to nothing. Anyway, I digress. That was a whole aside about beaver teeth. For some reason, I got really excited to talk about that. They have webbed rear feet and digitated front paws. The beaver's stocky body enables it to conserve heat. A beaver's long, dark orange, visible incisors grow continuously throughout its life and are worn down through daily use. There you go. We're going to talk about teeth again. These teeth are self-sharpening and can cleave a willow the size of a person's finger in a single bite. If the incisors become too long, they can prevent the beaver's mouth from closing enough for it to grind molars to meat, which could lead to starvation. So there you go. Some more information about their teeth, what I was just talking about. Beavers regularly move between aquatic and terrestrial environments. Their small, dexterous front feet are well adapted to work on land. They walk on 5 digits, grasp sticks with their front paws, and have well-developed digging claws. Their larger hind feet are webbed for swimming and void of fur except on the dorsal surface. So except on the top surface is what that means. The hind feet also have a preening toe, the second from the inside, with a unique double toenail. Beavers are meticulous groomers. They use the preening toe as a comb to prevent their fine, soft fur from matting to maintain its waterproofing and insulating properties. These flexible toes also remove burrs and parasites. On land, a beaver's movements are extremely awkward, making them vulnerable to predators. In water, however, beavers can swim up to 6 miles an hour. Their oversized lungs allow them to stay submerged for up to 15 minutes while traveling over half a mile. Whiskers help detect objects around the beaver's face and head, which is especially helpful to narrow passageways, and dark water. The beaver's eyes have a thin, transparent membrane called a nictitating membrane, which is pulled over the eyeball for underwater work. This is actually an adaptation that's really, really common with aquatic and semi-aquatic animals. That way they can keep their eyes open and they can see where they're going. There's many reptiles that have that. Some aquatic birds have that as well. Penguins have a nictitating membrane over their eyes. So something that the beavers share with many, many other animals. The tail is used as a rudder in swimming, as a balance prop while working on land, and to signal danger when slapping on the water. Multi-purpose tail. Beavers will also store fat in their tails, eating more in the fall so that they can survive off the fat stored in their tails through winter if food is not available. The beaver's vertebrae continue into almost the end of the tail. Fascinating animals. I actually didn't really know about their preening claws, so that was something new to me. That information is from the Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute site. So if you wanted to look up more of that, that is where I got that information from. And of course, as always, if you guys have some really cool beaver facts, let me know down in the comments. I love hearing your guys' animal facts. And if there was anything that you didn't know, you can let me know as well. Getting back to the exhibit here, we're really using a lot of rocks in this one, which is kind of normal for my builds, those aquatic rocks. I don't think I can build a single thing without using at least 100 of those rocks. Like, that's the minimum requirement for me to deem a habitat done and fully complete, is that it must have aquatic rocks in it. They're so great and they're awesome to use. They look phenomenal, but you can see here, this is where I was outlining the original size of the habitat, but this ended up being far too big. I didn't even get to the point where I put the beavers in. Once I kind of put this doorway in here and I started kind of decorating it and looking around, I was just realizing how large I had actually made the habitat. So I went ahead and I'll do it in just a second here. I take that covered viewing area, rotate it around, and basically make it parallel with that front viewing gallery and kind of cut all that back land off. Because to be honest, the beavers are so small, they're not going to need a whole bunch of land, but they also, in game and in real life, they're going to spend a lot of time in the water and in their little dam that I made them. So they're really not going to need a whole lot of like running room and open space and stuff like that. So it ends up working out really well. I was fairly impressed with the traversable area that the beavers have in this habitat. I was expecting to put the beavers in and have them basically just sit and stand still and not be able to walk anywhere, but they're actually able to traverse the rocks very easily and move around quite a bit. So that was pretty nice. I always like when I build things and the animals can actually use them. Around the habitat, we are not fully finished. Like, I did not do any detailing on the inside viewing gallery here that I'm moving now. And I also didn't make it a realistic habitat for the keepers to get to. So the actual habitat door is accessed by this path here that I'm laying now on the inside of the viewing gallery. But the door that I put on the inside of the exhibit that actually is the one that the keeper should use is on the left-hand side, and right now it kind of goes through the rocks and just opens up into a cliff. So my plan for that is where the pronghorns are, which is just to, if you're looking at this habitat, just to the left. That is going to be brought up to meet this elevation and totally redone. I highly doubt I will keep the pronghorn antelopes there. They're likely going to be moved into more of a hoofstock area of the zoo, because in addition to renovating everything, I'm also trying to relay out the zoo and kind of group animals in more of a realistic style. When I was first building in River Rock Zoo and in Planet Zoo in general, I really kind of just looked at a map and thought, you know, this is an open space. I'm going to go ahead and fill it. How can I fill a habitat there? And I didn't really pay any attention really at all to what animals were next to one another. I really just was looking for if the habitat was going to have good lighting, if I could make a pretty thumbnail. You know, I was just starting on YouTube, so I was trying to do things that looked pretty and not really putting a whole lot of thought into the surroundings or the layouts or anything like that. So that is something I'm trying to improve on River Rock Zoo as we go through. And then, of course, not building an entirely flat zoo. That is something that River Rock Zoo is relatively flat. There's really not a whole lot of elevation changes. And that's something that I do want to update as well and have it have more, you know, height differences and stuff like that, just to give it, again, more of a little bit more of a little bit? No, give it more of a realistic feel to it. I can't speak for some reason today. I'm stumbling over my words a bit. Adding some barriers here just to make sure that when guests do go in, they're not going to clip through that little front part of the viewing gallery, because as you can see, it kind of overlaps the path a little bit. If I will actually let guests in here is yet to be seen. Likely not, because I just like building things and guests just get in the way and ruin it. So I don't know if I'll actually open up the zoo and let the guests walk around, maybe for an end tour, some pretty cinematics or something like that. But we're basically almost done. And where we go from here, I don't actually know. I wanted it to be open for you guys and hear what your guys' opinions are. The Timberwolves and the Beavers were my only two kind of original ideas when I thought about redoing River Rock. And then from here, I'm not quite sure where to go. I don't really know if I'm ready to build a guest plaza area or not. I kind of am in a habitat building mood, so that's kind of what I want to go with. And I'm not quite sure if I want to add like one of the new animals from the grassland pack, or relocate the pronghorns, or redo the flamingos, which are over on the left-hand side. The flamingos will definitely stay up in the front of the zoo, but likely need a complete renovation as well because their habitat is very old. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do. The very last thing I'm doing with this habitat, I actually completely forgot, is I'm going to plaster the bottom of this pond for them, the pool, and add some greenery on the inside as well. I use the underwater aquatic plants and I kind of attach them to little rocks peeking through the bottom just to kind of simulate, you know, some fake plants that they might have connected to rocks that are sunk to the bottom of the pond, just to give it a little bit of interest and make it look like it's not just a plain concreted or rock wall pond. And then off camera, I do also add a little bit more greenery around the dam that I end up building, which I realized I haven't actually built it yet on the camera. I must build it relatively quickly. I thought it took me longer than that, because we really only have a few minutes left of the video and I haven't built the dam at all. I'm hoping that I didn't forget to record it, but I guess we'll find out together. Didn't forget to add a drain, so go me. That's awesome. Here's where I'm making those little fake plants that I was talking about, just grabbing a rock, sinking it into the ground, and then duplicating these little aquatic plants and rotating them around just to make it look like kelp or seaweed or something like that. I know it doesn't really look anything like kelp, but that was kind of the idea I was going for. And again, just to add some greenery and some color underwater. Unfortunately, I did not make the water deep enough for the beavers to actually like deep dive and swim around. So really in the cinematics, you'll see they kind of just swim on the surface of the water, which is kind of a bummer because I really did want them to swim underwater, but it wasn't something. Once I was at this point, and once I put the beavers in and I realized that I didn't actually make it big enough or deep enough, I didn't want to go back because, as I said in the beginning of the video, the water did not cause any problems for me, and I didn't want it to start causing problems for me, which is what I feel like it would have done if I would have deleted it at this point and tried to go back and update that. And we're kind of on to the finishing details of the habitat anyway. Aha, here's where I build the little dam. So I'm just taking these sticks and duplicating them all over and just making a pile of sticks on here to make it look like this is a little area the beavers can go in or under. And this is where I'm saying I end up adding some more foliage around the bottom of it, which you'll see in the end cinematics. But unfortunately, I did that after I was done recording. When I went in to take pictures, I felt like it just needed a little something else. So I did end up adding that off camera. But I am relatively happy with how it turned out. I mean, it looks like a mess of sticks, but that's kind of what it was intended to look like. So happy with that. We do some really light foliage work in the habitat using the buffalo grass, which is my new favorite foliage piece ever, because it's beautiful and it's perfect. It came with the grasslands pack, but it just adds that level of detail to any habitat that I didn't know I was missing until I had that piece. And now, again, just like the aquatic rocks, I don't think that I could build a habitat without it. And yeah, that's basically it, you guys. Very happy to be back building in, sandbox projects. I took a bit of a long break over the holidays and slightly before that, just because I was feeling a little bit burnt out with work and with YouTube and stuff like that. Nothing against any of the games, but I just needed a little bit of a mental break. And so I allowed myself to have that break over the holidays. It was very, very nice. And now I feel refreshed and ready to build a whole bunch more. So I have a couple more videos in the works, one in Prehistoric Kingdom and one in Jurassic World Evolution 2. So keep a lookout for those on the channel very, very soon. And if you don't want to miss out on any of that content, be sure to hit the subscribe button. There is the YouTube-y stuff. We are at the end of the video, so that is the time for it. Now, leave a like on the video if you made it this far, and if you enjoyed it, I will be covering Planet Zoo, Jurassic World Evolution 2, and Prehistoric Kingdom, mainly on the channel. So if you're interested in any of those, you can again hit that subscribe button. You can check out our Planet Zoo or animal-inspired merch on my website, simplysavannahgaming.com. And if you are interested in following me on any of my other social media accounts, all those fun links are down in the description below. I feel like that was a little bit of a disjointed outro, but I got all the information out there, so there we go. Go me. We're going to see some little cinematics at the end just to show off the habitat, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed. And until next time, I will talk at you guys in the next video. Bye!